I live in a city, not a big one, at least not a big one when comparing to other cities in the world, but still a decently sized city for Belgium's standards. And as any city, the city where I live offers a lot. There are tons of things to see and there are tons of things to do. So much that you can fill a whole day and still only have barely scratched the surface, and I think that goes for any city around the world. And with so many things to do and see, it's easy to get absorbed in the busyness of a city, going from one activity to the next, filling your days and never really slowing down. Personally, I value living slowly and taking time to enjoy the little moments in life, and sometimes that can be hard to match with living in a city. But over the years of living in a city, I do feel that I've gotten better at it. Slowing down my pace of life, having a deeper appreciation for little moments and things, living more in the present and having more time for hobbies, social connection with friends and family, or simply doing nothing. So in this video I want to discuss how I'm slow living in a city, how do I approach it, and what are my actual lessons learned from already living multiple years in a city. Most of the things I'll discuss I'm already doing myself, but I also try to give some additional ideas. There are so many ways that you can approach slow living in a city, and everyone will have their own preferences depending on who you are, where you are in life, and what you like. And if you, after this video, have more ideas on how you can live slowly in a city or want to share how you are doing it, I'd be happy to hear from you in the comments, and this way we can spread some new ideas and hopefully learn something new. And now, without further ado, let's jump in my first way of how I live a slow life in a city. Alright, my first thing that I do, and I do this basically every day before I even set a foot out of the door into the city, and that is starting my day slow. If you've seen one of my previous videos, then you know that I'm a big believer that how you start your day helps setting the tone and the pace for the rest of your day. So the things that you do in the morning matter a lot. I personally have a morning routine where I like to take things slow. I'll do some morning stretches to gently wake up my body. I'll enjoy sipping my morning cup of coffee. I'll take time to read a bit, and I like to go outside to get some fresh air and morning light. One of the best things about going outside early in the morning is that the city is still quiet and slow, especially if you can get outside before the morning traffic starts or before the rest of the city even wakes up. But having that slow and positive start of my mornings and not being in a rush to get to the first responsibilities of the day help me in general to approach my day in a more mindful manner. Of course, you don't necessarily have to follow a morning routine, and you can do any activity that you feel helps you getting that slow start of the day. This could be anything from meditation, yoga, breathing exercises, or something else. So just try something out and see what you like. And if you're interested in what my morning routine looks like, I discussed that shortly in the previous Simple Living diaries, which you can find in the cards somewhere on the screen. Yes, a city can be a busy place, so I find it important to find quiet spots where I can slow down and enjoy the silence. Besides the more well-known quiet spots, there are often also a lot of more hidden places where you can also find this silence. The often well-known quiet places around the city are, for example, parks, libraries, musea, or botanical gardens. But then there are also lesser known, more hidden places like the small and quiet streets that people don't frequent as much. Sometimes it's just about stepping away from the busy streets and you get to know a whole new aspect of the city. These quiet streets can often be a real surprise and have hidden gems like a cozy coffee shop where you can enjoy a wonderful cup. Another secret or hidden gem that I want to share here are cemeteries, which may seem like a weird suggestion. But even parks can get busy, especially during the summer period, and going to a cemetery can be a nice alternative here, as these are quieter and often offer the same amenities as parks do. You can find quiet spots all over the city, and sometimes it's just about knowing where to find them Or you can accidentally discover them by walking into a street that you haven't walked into before. Besides the city itself, I also believe that finding a quiet place goes broader, and I enjoy creating this place at home. Personally, I like listening to music or a podcast, but I also appreciate it when I can turn everything off and just simply enjoy the silence at home. For me, it's finding these quiet times that help me gathering my thoughts and focus on what's in front of me without any distractions from the noise around me. One of the things that became clear to me after living in a city for a couple of years is that even though cities are full of people, I often feel there is a lack of connection between the people. Most of the people are living their own lives, they are running from one place to another, or they are living in their own world, and it's rare to see a genuine interaction between strangers. And I don't mean that we have to strike a conversation with every stranger that we cross paths with, but often a smile or a simple good morning goes already a long morning, which I feel that still happens more when I'm at the countryside compared to when I'm in the city. In a city, we live with a lot of people in one place, but we don't really live together. Personally, I value deeper social interaction. I like to make time to meet up with friends or family, either inviting them over or meeting each other in the city. But if you're new in a city, it can be difficult to do that, and in that case, joining a local community can be a great start to get to know new people. And the cool thing is, there are possibly communities for every interest that you can think of, be it for active activities like running or yoga, creative activities like woodworking or ceramics, or even relaxing activities like board games or meditation. Joining a new community may be daunting at first, but you know that you have already at least one interest in common, so that can be a great way to get to start to know each other better. Alright, the next one is a simple and straightforward one, and that is to spend more times outdoors in nature. For me, nature has a very calming effect that I find difficult to find in a city. Instead of the city noise, you have the soft sounds of the wind blowing in the leaves and the birds. You have amazing smells of flowers and trees, as well as a beautiful color palette of everything around you. I really enjoy going for walks, bike rides, or just going for a run in nature nearby, and I find this one helps me slowing down and come to rest the most. While the city is constantly busy and keeps you on your toes, nature does exactly the opposite. So yeah, take that time to spend outdoors in nature. It's a great break from the busyness of a city. So I have to be honest here. I'm not really the best plant parent myself. I'm most of the time already happy if our plants are surviving, even though I give them all the love and care they need. However, I find great joy in keeping plants around our apartment and the slow activity of taking care of them. Taking care of the plants, watering them, cutting out the dead parts, taking cuttings, and dusting them is something I really enjoy, and I find it wonderful to see them, well, hopefully grow into larger plants, especially after putting all that love into it. Keeping plants is a great activity to slow down with, as well as having that greenery providing a nice alternative to the concrete of a city. It also brings some nature closer to you into your house. My girlfriend and I have mainly houseplants around our apartment, but if you have green thumbs and a well-suited terrace, you can also maintain a small herb, fruit or vegetable garden on your terrace, and it can also bring so much joy. With a small garden, you always have some fresh ingredients in the house to cook with, and maintaining a small garden is also well known to have multiple beneficial effects like reducing stress and improved mental well-being. However, if you're like me and still need to grow your green thumbs, just sticking to houseplants is also perfectly fine. There are plenty of tough houseplants that are difficult to kill, like snake plants or spider plants. So this one follows up a little bit on a point that I made in the previous idea of maintaining your own garden, but you don't really necessarily have to have your own garden, and that is to cook more at home instead of doing takeout or dining out. In a city, it can be so easy to just order takeout or dine out when you're not in the mood for cooking. Yet, as someone who slow lives, I try to cook as much as possible from basic ingredients. I enjoy cooking as a slow process where I create a complete dish out of a couple of ingredients. Personally, I find it amazing actually how even a couple of basic ingredients can create so many delicious dishes, like how much you can do with just a couple of vegetables. Cooking really is one of those slow activities that I love when I finally get home at the end of the workday. I also love how that the smell fills our apartment and how that cooking can bring people together. And finally, another small benefit of cooking yourself is that it of course saves out on money. So that's a nice little extra as well. Alright, I find that learning to set boundaries and saying no is also important when slow living in a city. Again, there is so much to do in cities and it's easy to get overwhelmed by all the choices and being both physically and emotionally drained when trying to do as much as possible. For that reason, one of the best things I found for my own mental well-being and coming to rest is to set boundaries and saying no. I don't need to be at every event, I don't need to be at every meetup, and I don't need to fill up every day with activities, and that's completely okay. I know I may miss out on a couple of things if I don't go to every event or every meetup, but over the years I've realized that I'm fine with that and that I don't want to live an exhausting life with a fear of missing out. It's also actually rarely the case that I'm actually missing out on something, and FOMO isn't really grounded in anything. So I'd rather give myself the time and space to slow down by not going. Which in the end I often appreciate even more because I'm not tired and exhausted by trying to go to everything. So yeah, set your boundaries when living in a city. And that's how I practice slow living while living in a city and how I try to stay mindful to not get absorbed in its everyday busyness. As I mentioned, most of these things I'm doing myself, and one of the things I actually want to get back into myself is maintaining a small garden on the terrace. However, with how our apartment terrace is designed, it's not really ideal to maintain a small garden, and herbs that we did try earlier sadly did not last long, so that may take some more trial and error. Now, I am also eager to hear from you how you are implementing slow living if you're living in a city. Even if you're not living in a city currently, I'm also happy to hear your thoughts, so let us know in the comments. And finally, I just want to say again that you can live slowly in a city. Just take your time and go at your own pace. It's not because the city and everyone around you is going fast that you have to go fast as well. And with that said, thank you for watching and I will see you soon again.